for serving on the Dane Arts 2024 Cycle 1 Advisory Panel for Multidisciplinary Arts. I'm going to share a little bit of information. We'll introduce each other. We'll walk through the process and talk about the things that are important to Dane Arts. And then by 8:50, we should be ready to launch into the discussion part. So Dane Arts, as you know, is committed to making our county stronger by supporting citizens, groups, and organizations that preserve our shared heritage and create arts and cultural opportunities for residents and visitors. Our mission is to engage participation, connect people, and inspire expressive living in Dane County. We really care about equitable access to arts, culture, and local history activities. And we're looking for opportunities for people to do those things: express, engage, and connect. I am Mary Claire. I am a teacher educator with the Madison School District and also the University of Wisconsin. I'm on my third term in Dane Arts, and I've enjoyed it immensely. And I have an arts background in classical and folk music and also educational theater for children and young adults. We're joined today by Commissioner Am Curette. And Am, I wonder if you could introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, my name is Amneris Curette. The name Amneris comes from an opera Aida, so I have been an arts lover for a long, long time. This is my second term on the Dane Arts Commission, and I've been working a lot on the processes. My training is in business operations, project management. So working closely with Augusta and Mark on a lot more of the processes aspects of the commission. So excited to be here and hear what you have to say about our applications.
I'd like to extend greeting from our chair, Rod Richardson, who always likes to attend these, but can't attend them all. But he would like to say hello and thank you for your participation. It would be great to hear from each of you. If you could share your name, your role, what you do, and any experience you've had doing this so far. And we are happy to have newcomers, and we are happy to have veterans. So why don't we start with you, Josh?
Yeah, I'm Josh. I'm a postdoctoral research associate at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I work at the School of Human Ecology, so I'm in a place that has a lot of art going around and a lot of interdisciplinary collaboration. I've collaborated on some projects with my wife, who is an artist. I've worked on a couple of other projects by myself, but this is my first time, and I'm happy to be here and learn how it works.
Welcome, Josh. Claire, how about you?
Hello, everyone. I'm Claire Canapel. I'm a software engineer by day, but I also play double bass and have been getting involved in some arts programming, which is very exciting. This is my second time as a Dane Arts grant panel reviewer, and I am excited to talk about the projects.
Thanks, Claire. Carol.
Hi, I'm Carol Cohen. I was an academic in my career with a theater background. I miss doing the theater reviews, Augusta.
We'll have to remember that for next time. We only had 2 applications.
Oh, okay. I'm
wanted
teasing
to give you a little bit of everything today.
Okay, I'm really teasing you. Let's see. I've been doing these. I love doing these applications. I think it's really important that Dane Arts plays a really important role in the county. I wish there were. I wish we could give money to full grants to all the people who ask. I've been doing this since, I want to say, 2010 for almost most rounds, I think. Anyway, so I enjoy doing it, and yeah, I'm looking forward to today's grants.
Thank you, Carol. You are such a grounding presence for us. It's nice to see you again. How about you, Rick?
Yeah, good morning. It's nice to follow Carol. Thank you for your many years of service. This is my second time doing it. I thank Augusta and Mark for bringing me into the mix. I'm a graduate of Blake College in Wisconsin with theater arts, also like you, Carol, and Asian studies. I've pretty much traveled all over and lived all over doing arts in Hannibal, Missouri, Bayview, Milwaukee, Shreveport, Louisiana, Los Angeles, New York City. Ended up here in Madison about 6 years ago and was elected to be a Board County supervisor. And I'm fortunate I sit on commissions that relate to public protection and justice, UW Extension, DEI, and I also sit on the area aging commission. So nice to meet you all. And I apologize, my video's for some reason not working, but you hear my voice.
Yes, thank you, Rick.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Kayla.
Hi, everyone. This is my first time being on the Dane Arts Review panel. It's very cool. Very great projects. I am currently the Arts Outreach and Engagement Coordinator with UW-Madison Division of the Arts. And I also work as the Interim Associate Director for OMI, which is Office of Multicultural Arts Initiatives and the First Wave Scholarship Program. So very excited to be here. I'm an artist myself, and I love to see what artists are doing in the community.
Thank you. Augusta?
Thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it. As you know, I'm the Dane Arts Cultural Affairs Specialist. And I'm so grateful to have you all on this review panel this morning. I think this is I've been with Dane Arts about 3 years this spring. So I've amassed quite a few review panels, and it's always a great learning experience and very inspiring to see all the groups that are doing great work. And then I'm noticing, especially with these applications, how many groups are working with each other. So it's really wonderful to see those connections. I want to mention that, as you know, the meeting is being recorded. And so we'll put the recording on the Dane County YouTube channel for people to view at a later date. We have 3 people who signed up to view this meeting, to observe it live. They will not speak during the meeting, but they are able to observe the reviews live. And then after the discussion of each application, for those of you who are new, we'll take a couple minutes for you to go into WebGrants and submit your final scores. So we'll have you each do that in WebGrants during our meeting so that by the time the meeting is over, everything should be submitted and you should be all set. And I will be here the entire meeting. I will turn off my video, but I will be sitting here for any questions anyone has, throughout the process. Yes, Carol.
Do you want our comments now or later on the new platform for Dane Arts, the computer platform?
Oh, sure. Yeah, now would be perfect if you have time to submit.
If you don't mind, Augusta, could we do that at the
Yeah,
end?
I would, at the end would probably
Yeah.
be good.
Oh, okay,
can
thank you.
email
I'm
you.
sorry. I think I misunderstood the question. I was thinking comments so let me just make sure I understand. So you're asking about comments for just using the new platform.
The new look of the I'm pointing at my computer and you can't see that. I realize that.
Okay.
On the new look of the computer program.
Okay, perfect. Yes, thank you, Mary, for confirming. Yeah, at the end. And then
We've absolutely built in time for that, Carol, and we do want to hear your thoughts.
yeah, and then if you have comments on the applications, we'll discuss it now. And then there's that space where you can add comments in WebGrants before you submit. So, so many places to comment. Thanks for asking.
Good. Is Mark, he was here briefly, but I'm guessing he won't be with us for the rest of the time. Okay.
Yeah, so he's got some meetings and things, but he may pop in or out.
Okay. All right. I'm going to talk through the process so that we all feel that we understand what we're going to be doing. So many of you have served previously and are familiar with the process. And some of you are new, and we're excited to have you here. You've read the online applications that were sent to you in web grants. You've taken notes on each application regarding how each proposal aligns with the review criteria. Dane Arts determines funding based mainly on your reviews. So it's critical to us that you do this work, and we appreciate it. We appreciate your fairness, your deliberation, and your attention to detail. That really helps us decide how to distribute funds. As you know, it's not easy for all groups to submit a full grant proposal. Many are written by volunteers who have other full-time jobs. Some are written by people who are doing this for the very first time. We try hard not to unduly jeopardize those who are new to grant writing. However, your responses and recommendations and advice for them about how to tighten up their grant proposal writing is always very helpful. So don't hesitate to share friendly advice for those who feel new to this process. We do have criteria for judging merit, and our budget reality is such that we can't afford to award everyone who applies. Actually, I'll amend that a little bit. We do try to give a little money to everybody if they've met all of the criteria, but we're unable to fully fund all of these amazing grant proposals. And that's something that Dane Arts is really trying to work on, is raising more money and making people more aware of how important the arts are. We are one of the lowest, maybe the lowest state in the union in the United States in terms of funding arts. So that's something we're really trying to work on. So these are the criteria: quality and creativity. So we're looking for high artistic and or historical quality, things that stand out, and artists and individuals that are involved. We're looking at that: project design, concept, planning, personnel, and artistic goals. So that's one thing you're looking at. Community impact and public benefit. The community served is, we want to know that it's clearly defined in that proposal, and that there's a compelling case for how the project benefits Dane County and merits tax dollars. And factors here include things like geographic, racial, cultural, economic, age, and gender composition, and then that the project demonstrates benefit, value, and accessibility to the community served. We're looking for clear and logical financial planning. Has it been carefully planned? Is it financially feasible? Does it include adequate earned income and or contributions from a variety of sources? We're looking at implementation. Does the proposal demonstrate an ability to complete the project and meet the goals within a realistic time frame? Does it involve qualified personnel and artists? Is it well planned? Does it ensure audience and participation access? And is the community involvement appropriate to the project? And the last thing is impact and influence. Does it present a compelling case that the grant award will ensure that the project will happen and be successful? So, as you heard, often the requests are for more dollars than we have. So what you tell us helps us sort out how to distribute those dollars. The good news is that all proposals that meet the eligibility requirements and have a secure plan in place will receive a threshold amount of dollars toward their project. It may not be a lot of dollars, but it's something. So thanks again for being fair and deliberate and honoring the work that produces high caliber art and meaningful arts experiences in Dane County. So we have people who are experienced at this and can help us. I am here to help us too. You all will have received this, right? I believe that gives us the list of the projects. I'm going to introduce each one, and I'll name the organization, the ID number, and the amount that's requested. Then the primary reviewer, and I'll indicate that so I can help us know who's the primary reviewer and who's the secondary. The primary reviewer leads the discussion by offering a brief overview of the proposal, the strengths and weaknesses as they apply to the sections. They comment on whether the budget and supplemental materials and supporting documents are in order, and offer your overall assessment on the quality and the feasibility of implementing and completing the proposal project. Then the secondary reviewer adds any additional information that they would like and their opinion. And then we open the discussion for a few minutes for anyone else to comment or ask questions. Not everyone needs to speak about every application. If you need to be recused, and I think we have one recusal, and that's Claire, right, which is way at the end. What we'll do is we'll ask you to just turn off your mic and your video and estimate approximately 8 minutes for the discussion and scoring. I'll put in the chat when we're ready to have you come back. Let's see. Immediately following the discussion for each proposal, we reserve the last few minutes for you to score and ideally submit your scores and your notes. And we have a system for that. I'll ask you to raise your hand virtually when you're ready to go, and then I'll bring us all back together when everybody's ready. Each application, we've assigned about 10 minutes for each one for all of those steps to happen. And at the end, at the very end, we'll have a discussion about the process to get your feedback and recommendations for making this work more smoothly. Before we dismiss, we will ask that you finish and upload everything so that you're completely done. Our role as chairs, my role and then Am's, is really just to keep an eye on process and time. We're not discussants. We're not going to offer our own opinions on any of the applications, but we'll be listening for your insights and your recommendations, and we will share those with the commission. Observers are present. The meeting is public, as Augusta reminded us, and it will be made available on a request to anyone who asks. So yeah, we're live. If you have any insights or advice for Dane Arts regarding trends that you notice, comments on the process, observations on the state of the arts in Dane County, thoughts about the new system, Carol, we will take those suggestions at the end. Are there any questions before we begin? Okay, so we're going to get started. I'm going to keep an eye on time, move us through all the grants, and facilitate equal participation of everyone. All right, so our first one is ID number 25053. It's the Madison Children's Museum Roadshow 2024. They are requesting $5,250, which is a little over 6% of their total project budget. And our first person is Carol Cohen.
Hi. This is a project in which the Madison Children's Museum will host 60 events at 8 park festivals from May until December, bringing hands-on exhibits and programming to historically underserved children and families in various communities throughout Dane County. This is, to my mind, a really important event for the museum. It gets them out in the communities where they might not be well known. It gets kids to work on creative projects. I love it that the museum ensures a built-in audience by piggybacking on various summer festivals where there's already an audience for kids' activities. So they're partnering with various small communities. Lots of the events will reach out to underserved communities. What's not to like about this project is what I said. So I think this is a really strong application. It's going to serve quite a few, the impact will be on quite a few children and families. So that's a good thing. It says 10,000 served. That seems like a huge number, but okay, they're going to be out at festivals, so why not? The only downside in this budget, this was one of the bigger project budgets of all the ones that we looked at. And so the budget seems a little administrative heavy. And I think the teaching artists, I'm sorry to see that the teaching artists aren't being paid very much, but I still think this is an important event for project for Dane Arts to fund.
Thanks, Carol. Rick, we have you as the secondary.
Yeah, I hear what Carol's saying, and I hope you all do as well. I did have a note too that 70,000 was dedicated to staff, but we, for those, most of us know that they have a very solid staff, and devoting time to this is great. I would say, the fact they've raised 80,000 in grants, 5,000 is only 6%, like Mary mentioned. For me, just speaking as a Dane County resident official, piggybacks on what Carol is saying, it gets people out and connects our various things in the community. So not only is this organization benefiting by pre-established things? Our parks are benefiting, and our the Alliance Center, other things are able to bring people in that may not know of these resources in our county. So I think it definitely hits the mark with good use of county money. So that's all I have.
Any other comments, questions, thoughts from others?
I just want to add that I really enjoy that it's a sustained programming over the course of time. I think it's a way to make sure that community stays engaged and that they're able to reach a large audience. I really like that.
Also would like to note that we do have a section asking specifically if this is a program that gives an opportunity for youth to participate, and they do get a special award for that.
Any other thoughts?
A comment that I had made for them was that when I look at the budget and I see how much they've put for the consumables, the actual art materials and things, it seemed relatively small for the expected audience that I was looking at. And so, but I was reminded that because this is a recurring thing, they probably have quite a bit of materials that are able to come from the museum and other things as well. So I wanted to address that comment and then put it out there.
I had a similar question. I noticed that they had only $500 allocated towards portable tent tables and seating, which seems low, but like you said, maybe they're drawing on their existing stock.
All right. Take time to finish up your scoring, and when you're ready, if you could raise your hand virtually, that will let me know that you're ready to go.
And at this point, this is when we ought to submit. Is that correct, Mary?
That's right.
And I'm here for any technical questions. So when you submit your final score, it'll say, are you sure you want to submit? And you can click yes. And we should get an email notification, but certainly here for any questions. And thanks for being the first to use the new system.
Less clicking than there used to be.
Good.
I think I've seen everyone's hand, but I'm not sure about you, Rick. Oh, got it. All right, good. You can take your hands down. Thank you. This is where being a fourth grade teacher comes in handy. I was more of a just speak out teacher than a raise your hand teacher, by the way. So, okay, our next one is ID number 25060. This is Arts for All Wisconsin Veteran Arts Studio. They're requesting $2,500, which is 7.7% of their entire project. And we'll start with our primary, Claire.
Thanks, Mary. Yep. So Arts for All Wisconsin, they're planning to open an exhibition of veterans artwork in May of 2025. The requested funds are to help with art supplies, accessibility tools and services, and public awareness promotion and postage. The programming will take place at the Madison Vet Center on Sherman Avenue. They don't have a location for the exhibition yet. So the point of this project is to provide opportunities for veterans in the arts by planning a visual art exhibition of work created during those art workshops in both Madison and Green Bay. This is provided at no cost to veterans. They're a well-established organization, and they have a long history of creating programming to help support individuals with disabilities. And so their support of the veterans community is only one element of what this organization does. I was clicking through their website, and they have a lot of really cool programs. They have like choirs and art classes and music and culture programming for people with mid-stage memory loss and their care partners. But this specifically is focusing on veterans. it looks like they have a strong core team of personnel to run the project. Their executive director has been in place since 2019. Their director of arts education seems very highly qualified to instruct. I liked that they had a readjustment counselor as like a confirmed member of the project as well. I thought that was very cool. I did note that one of their letters of support came from this readjustment counselor. And I think typically letters of support for grants should come from an individual outside the project, from the community at large, not a member of the project request. I did also have a major question. So they noted in their application that they plan to run the workshops in both Madison and Green Bay. And Green Bay is outside of Dane County. So I was curious if they were planning on using any of the funds awarded in Green Bay, because we do specify in our grants that it should be used for Dane County programs. A couple other small like grant notes. I noticed that their implementation steps got cut off during the promote exhibition step, like in the middle of a word, seemed just like a little copy pasta. So they could do just like read through the application before submitting, making sure there's no copy and paste errors. And I would have liked to see a record of their previous evaluations. This is not the first Veterans Art Studio they've run, so presumably they have some sort of data they've collected from the previous ones, and that would have made this application stronger. But overall, I think it's a really cool program and has a direct benefit for a group of people who have proven to love doing arts projects.
Thank you, Claire. Kayla.
Yeah, my thoughts, the only questions that came up for me were surrounding the demographic. What you said, Claire, I would have loved to see past data to see if that was in line or if they have any efforts to try to expand their reach. I enjoyed that they're allocating a lot of funds to artists and to the creative artists that will be making these programs happen. But those were my two major flags. I saw the copy pasta and I tried to ignore it and just assume the best intentions. So yeah, those are my only thoughts.
Other thoughts or comments?
In line with what both Claire and Kayla have been talking about, I think that it would have been nice to see some information about the exhibition itself, an estimated number of artists that are going to be represented, estimated audience numbers, etc. And especially missing a place for the exhibition itself seemed like a pretty glaring issue on my part. But that is still a year in advance, and so obviously they have time to find an exhibition space. But if they have worked with something in the past, then I would have expected that they might be able to leverage that continuing partnership. And yeah, and the fact that I was a little concerned to see that there was a portion of the exhibition or a portion of the project that is going to be taking place outside of Dane County, and how they plan to allocate funding for that.
Augusta, I wonder if you have any thoughts for us on the Green Bay issue? Is that
Sure.
coming? Yeah.
That does happen with applications sometimes. We just need to make sure that the funds that are awarded from Dane Arts go directly to the project serving Dane County. So I'll check with Mark, but we always, if we see that, we'll always ask and just make sure that we have like written confirmation that, you know, the funds will be used in Dane County. So that's something that we check on, and I'll follow up as well with Mark to make sure that that's communicated with them if they receive an award.
Okay, good.
So I hope that answers the question. So they should be good to go. We will just double check and confirm that the funds will not be used for the Green Bay portion of the project.
Great. And everyone, all those insights you have and recommendations, please put those in your notes so that they can receive them, and which will support them going forward in the future. Any other comments from anyone? All right, so why don't you take time to score and then put up your virtual hand when you're ready. Thank you, everyone. All right, you can put your hands down. We're doing very well time-wise. Our third proposal is ID number 25103. It is Midwest Mujeres Incorporated. Yo Quiero Dinero, Our Stories Have Value, Midwest Mujeres Annual Event. They are requesting $4,900, which is about 25% of their budget. And we will start with you, Joshua. You're still on. Yeah, there.
Yep, there we go. Sorry about that. The event is planned to take place on June 15th, 2024 at the MyArts Starlight Theater. It focuses on a low-income, marginalized, and undervalued women of color. That's a quote from the thing, focusing, it seems, primarily on Latina populations. Midwest Mujeres provides mentorship to women of color on content development, public speaking, and cultural Latina wellness. And funds are requested for a fourth annual event that highlights mentorship gains and teaches specific skills to attendees from targeted populations. Some aims are to reduce income inequality and support economic justice for women of color. They're expecting 150 plus attendees, with 50% coming from the entrepreneurial community. And the plan is to have tickets available for $25 with an advertised promo code for free attendance. Requested funds are for the artist honorarium, keynote speaker, speaking coaches, some rental of tables and decorations, makeup and hair for artists and the keynote speaker, and then for advertising. And they're specifically requesting funding to maintain the number of artists and speaking coaches. Without funding, they're going to need to charge more for tickets and cut down on the number of coaches that will be available to folks. So it seemed to me like a good use of the funding. It's specifically targeting a relatively unique population. And it seems that without the funding, they wouldn't be able to have as effective of an event, though they will still be able to leverage their numbers from last year and still be able to have an event.
Carol. We've got you on mute, Carol.
Sorry. I think I want to affirm that the purpose of the event, economic empowerment for women of color, is certainly a significant issue, and the event does a good job of focusing on that. My concern is that I couldn't get a good handle on the storytellers, which is what part of what this ask is going to fund. And I couldn't get a sense of why this is an artistic event. The storytellers seem to be teaching the audience how to be compelling when you talk about who you are. And certainly, you know, training for that is important, and building skills in that is important. But it didn't seem to me, this isn't a festival, but it's a conference. And why is this a Dane Arts application is, I think, what I was scratching my head about in some ways. It didn't fit, it certainly doesn't fit the rubric very well in terms of artistic value. So it was hard to, judge it. It certainly is an excellent, compelling event as an event, but as a Dane Arts application, I had some trouble with where's the artistic value of this.
Other thoughts?
I had a similar question when I was reading it to Carol's, and I think it seems to me maybe kind of like a moth sort of style program, where it's about like the sharing of the stories and like kind of a spoken word art. And from that lens, I think it does have, an artistic merit, and is something that you could attend and gain something from the experience.
All right. Okay. Take your time to input your notes and upload everything, and raise your hand when you're ready. All right, thank you. All right, we can start fresh again. This is the ID number 25105. It is LunART Incorporated, LunART Festival 2024 Rebirth. They are requesting $5,158.82. This is 4.6% of their total budget. And we'll start with you, Rick.
Sure. Just to put it out there, I'm excited about this one. Once again, it will take place in a variety of places across the county, like the library, UW. It does have a church component to it too. I looked, their ethnicity numbers don't quite add up. I think it's 101%, but it doesn't matter. A little bit of a diversity concern there of 79% white and mostly 31 plus. So that kind of is something, a little bit of a concern, that their audience is skewing a little older and a little less diverse than I think that we are kind of looking to attain. However, it is a celebration of all women in the arts, so that makes up for my thoughts there. The fact that it's exhibitions, performances, workshops, collaborations, it's a nice blend of various things. You know, and the representation of over 400 artists is pretty phenomenal to bring that big of a group together. I also like that this group has endured even during COVID and keeping engagement going for people at a time when the country was asked to shut down. Also appealing, I think, to the more urban areas of Dane County, you know, bringing in Broadway stars and rock stars and composers and incorporating people that some of our residents may never be able to experience in other live venues is important. As Mary mentioned, it's 4.6%, which is a low percentage of money they've already raised against their $111,000 goal. I love their attachments, the videos, the quotes from people, the playbill credibility, and that's what I have to offer here. So I would strongly support this application.
Great. Thanks, Rick. Claire.
Yeah, agree with everything Rick said. I think I loved seeing that they had confirmed participants and composer selections already. Like they have strong planning in place for this. And again, with the really clear timeline for the implementation. So I was a little curious to hear more about the preview events. They had talked about doing preview events outside of Dane County to increase awareness and engagement. But I was kind of curious what the implementation for those would look like. Are they sending musicians out to these areas? Are they showing videos? Who are they working with for these preview events? Would have liked to hear a little more there. I thought the letters of support were really well written. However, they were from participants who have previously received payments from the organization. So again, letters of support, it would be nice to have them from people who have attended shows or previous partner organizations, a little more outside of the direct organization.
Other comments? Carol.
I did want to point out that the organization has done an excellent job of seeking funding from many other sources. And so that's a plus for me in the application, which was in itself quite compelling.
Any other observations? Okay, do your thing. Yeah, I think we have everyone. Thank you. All right. The next one is ID number 25110. This is Katherine Kramer Projects, Breath of Fresh Art, requesting $4,000, which is nearly 29% of the total budget. And we will start with you, Kayla.
Yeah, I liked this project. I liked seeing that it was a little different from some of the other grants in that it's an individual submitting. So a breath of fresh art, a cultural event at Primrose Retreat. It's serving an audience of 300, which I thought was appropriate for the amount that they asked for. It seems feasible. It is an event that celebrates democracy and life and art through performances. They asked for $4,000, which would cover, hold on one second, my notes here are a little jumbled. So the $4,000 I thought was a good ask. I didn't see any immediate flags with this. Some of my questions were around, will they be able to get the support that they need from other donors, other funds? So those were my primary concerns. I did also notice that a lot of the programming was skewed toward adults. And I know that we want to make sure that this is accessible to all age ranges. But those were the primary things that came up for me. I also noticed that they put a lot into admin, a lot of money into admin. And I also like that they put a little bit of money into artistic honoraria. And I'm trying to understand that because this is a smaller event in comparison to some of the other events, that maybe there's not a need for like any marketing promotional funding, which I didn't see there. So those are my thoughts, my notes.
Thanks, Kayla. Joshua.
Yeah, I noticed that this was the third event, so even though the first two were during COVID, they did sell out, and despite limitations to lockdown restrictions, so I think that that demonstrates a good track record that they have. It does serve a special rural subset of the Dane County community, where a lot of these other events are serving more of our urban community in Madison, and I thought that was worth noting. I likewise felt like Kayla, I was kind of surprised that they haven't sought out more funding or partner with some rural organizations to potentially highlight their community commitment, the community's commitment to the project. And so I would have enjoyed or appreciated seeing some of that. I thought that would have made their application a little bit stronger. But all in all, I think it's a relatively special project. I think that it's a realistic project, that it's manageable, and that the amount of funding that we provide to them would really go a long way in the project.
Other observations, questions, comments? Okay, so ready to score. Rick, you've got your hand up. If you don't mind taking that down, and then I'll know when you're done. But go ahead, everyone. All right. Thanks, everyone. We have one more before our break, and this one is ID number 25112. It's Disability Pride Madison. The project is Disability Pride Festival 2024. They are requesting $5,049, which is almost 24% of their project budget. And we'll start with you, Claire.
So Disability Pride Madison is putting on a Disability Pride Festival this year, July 27th from noon to 5 p.m. They're asking for $5,000 to pay for stage performers and to partially pay for sound and stage costs. I think this was a really cool application. I liked how they focus on the fact that this is a festival created by and for people with disabilities. It's one of the only festivals in the country that is created by and for people with disabilities, and they're involved in all stage performances, art exhibits, and participating small businesses. Additionally, organizations that serve and support people with disabilities are involved through resource booths. The application noted that many individuals and parents who experience disability in childhood harbor concerns about their future. And one of their missions with this festival is to help alleviate those concerns by showcasing successful adults with disabilities and offering children and parents a vision of futures filled with happiness and opportunity, which I thought was really powerful. I liked how they actively seek feedback each year from attendees who use manual wheelchairs and scooters, and they attempt to adapt their infrastructure each year based on the input to make sure that this is an accessible experience. They mentioned in their application that they have collaboration with the Madison Parks Department, but I didn't see any reference to the Parks Department in their donor list or letters of support. So I think their application could be strengthened by leaning into that collaboration more and having some more supporting materials for that. I think their project expenses and the grant application were very clear and well structured, but I found the supporting financial documents a little difficult to parse. One of them is like just a transaction list, and the other one's like a bunch of storage charges. I think it would be nice if they kind of bucketed their yearly financial statements for easier viewing for grant reviewers. I also noticed they're putting in the money and work to get a Spanish interpreter, which is great, but their demographics noted that only 4% of the program will be Latin attendees. So it would be cool to see them do a little more outreach for the Latin community if they have a translator. Yeah, I think again, this was a really strong application. They really outlined the direct benefits to individuals and the wider benefits to the community at large from this program. I love the year-by-year growth metrics they included for the festival from its creation in 2013 to current. I loved being able to see the growth they were able to achieve and see that they're monitoring those numbers.
Thanks, Claire. Rick.
Yeah, I love the beauty of these gatherings because, Claire, it's my turn to compliment you and say that you've hit on all the things that I felt solid about this and some of my concerns. Again, speaking as an elected official and knowing, some of the work we're doing, language accessibility is a huge movement this year with the county board and policies throughout the county. And also, it's time we strike. I get worked up here, and part of my passion, but we're all passionate people of ableist attitude. I can't tell you how many county board meetings I attend that my colleagues themselves present ableist thought. And it was really delightful to hear Director Hicklin from Dane County Parks speak to the fact that we cannot think of this as accessibility anymore. We have to think of this as being inclusionary. And this is going into all of our planning with our new parks, master plans, et cetera, et cetera. So I get off my soapbox here, but I think it's a very important soapbox. I think by the county supporting this, even if it's 25% of their budget, when we look at awarding $5,000 to other applicants that may have larger budgets and a smaller percentage, I think this is a statement the county definitely needs to make to support a strong application like this. And also being a grant writer, and those of you who, I'm sure, Kayla, you've written many grants and understand it. I agree. I had a little challenge with the fiduciary part or just the explanations of finances, but I think the application flowed really well and spoke highly of their ability to manage a project. Thank you.
Other comments or observations?
I just wanted to say that I really loved this proposal. I thought it was an event that's very, very necessary. Claire, to echo what you said about it being one of the only events of its kind and the only engagements of its kind, I think it would really speak volumes about how this community cares for diverse bodies, diverse identities. Yeah, I think it's very necessary, and I hope we can support it.
I likewise want to echo what I've heard everyone say. I thought this was an incredibly strong application, an incredibly worthwhile event. I was really impressed with their evaluation scheme and the way that they have evaluated and provided metrics from the past. And I likewise hope that we're able to give these folks some good funding.
All right, so we're looking at a 10-minute break. We are way ahead of ourselves, which is fine. Well, I'm going to propose, I've got 9:24 on my computer. I'm going to
Wait,
propose.
do you want us to submit these?
I do, but what I'm going to say is go ahead, submit them, and then take a break and come back at 9:35.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your great work.
Welcome back. I assume we have you back too, Rick, yes?
Yes, thank you.
Great, thank you. Thanks, everyone. All right, we have 7 more to go, and we're clipping right along. The 7th one is ID number 25118, Sessions at McPike Park. The sessions in 2024, Los Tangueros, Street Bands, Mokoomba, and more. They are requesting $3,500, which is 2.14% of their total budget. And we'll start with you, Carol.
I thought this was quite a good proposal in that it all throughout it it addressed the public value of the project. It's an event, this festival is an event for families and adults, and local vendors also benefit from the 7 dates. I think there were some added benefits to this. It's not just a festival. For example, some of the national acts that come to Madison will then perform at local venues, so benefiting that venue. This is quite a substantial cultural event, and I appreciated the diverse range of performers from many parts of the world. I especially appreciated some of the local benefits that local performers get good exposure from big audiences that attend. And then there's the part where some of the performances are benefits for local nonprofit organizations. So the organizations get to attend their event and do outreach and fundraising. I think that's an excellent added benefit to a big festival like this. The organizers seem to have already established connections, so putting on this event, an event this size, is just that much easier. It is the 11th year of this event, and additionally, it has a truly substantial list of funders for this event. They're asking a mere 2% of their quite large $163,000 budget. And so in the end, although Dane Arts would be providing a little more than 2% of the funding, I think it's well worth having Dane Arts' name on an event like this.
Thank you, Carol. Claire.
Yeah, I agree with everything Carol said. This is a great event, and I strongly support it. I think the only grant note I had, something that could make their application even stronger. We know they've been doing this for many, many years. So what proof do they have of the success metrics that they have been gathering? Would love to see the growth that they've seen throughout the years shown in some numbers.
Thank you. Other thoughts or observations?
One comment I did want to make is I do notice that the funding that they're requesting from Dane County is specifically to recruit artists from outside of our community. I did want to make a note of that, that I would have appreciated seeing the funding go towards something that specifically is here, maybe helping the organizations that are going to be supported in Dane County specifically. I understand that that bringing in these artists is a big part of the sessions, but it seemed a little antithetical to the proposal that the funding is going specifically to recruit people from well outside of our community to come in and perform when we do have a wealth of artists that are potentially able to contribute and have, even within the proposal itself, like bringing up these artists that are part of our community. I would have liked to see more integration of that to enhance this already very strong proposal.
Any other comments? All right. Go ahead and score. We have everyone. Thank you. All right. Our next one is ID number 25119. This is the Neighborhood House Community Center's Madison Good Neighbor Gathering. They are asking $5,062.04, which is a little over 29% of their budget. And we'll start with you, Kayla.
Yeah, I'll go down my list of notes that I had. So the first thing that caught my eye was that there was a sentence cut off, and I think maybe that's like a copy and paste error. I know that this event is similar to events that I've seen since moving to Madison, like the Dream Fest, and knowing how successful that was for community engagement near the Madison College area, I thought this could be a really good event. I love the rich history that Madison House has, being based on a student thesis. I was surprised to see that they weren't partnering with anyone from UW-Madison with this project because of their rich history. I love what they do for the community at large outside of this gathering, this Good Neighbor gathering. I would have loved to hear them speak to why having this particular space is important to Dane County at large. I think it's very easy to tell when you're in those communities, but maybe harder to understand if you're outside of those communities. I also noticed that they were kind of vague with who they were partnering with until they got to the end where the budget was. I would have loved to hear a little bit more about their community involvement. I also noticed that it says that they're receiving funds from other funders, but I only saw one that was clearly listed. I like that it's on a Sunday for the audience that they're targeting. I like that they're primarily focusing on young people, which I thought was very cool for what they were doing with bouncy houses and face art painting and things like that. I think it makes sense. I think it's a bit vague with who they're partnering with. That was the only thing that I was raised for me, is who are your community partners? Although when I saw their letters of support, I noticed that they do have strong support through those letters. I would have loved to see some of their past evaluations. They noted that they had 400 attendees last year. And I would have just loved to see some documentation surrounding exactly what they were capturing. And I love that they're aiming to attract 100 more folks this year. And I also noticed that the grant from Willie Fun Events will cover a good bit of their event, but it seemed like they had only raised just a little under 1,500. So I was also just trying to see where that aligned. But yeah, other than that, I think it's a fun event. I think it's an important and necessary event. I think it's one of the few events in this cycle that is targeting diverse communities, really tailored toward young people. So yeah, those are my initial thoughts.
Thanks, Kayla. Carol.
I agree with Kayla that this was not the strongest application, though it is quite a good event. event in that it focuses on kids and families and local food carts, crafts, booths for local organizations to do outreach. So there are a lot of positive things about the event itself. I wish that the proposal had been a little more specific about its impact and why Dane Arts should fund it. I too was perplexed by the lack of information in who's funding this event. One of the interesting things I looked at when I looked at some of the attachments, there's one, the financial statements are not exactly financial estate, what they attached for financial statements really aren't financial statements per se, but one of them was a list of local merchants from that the festival had collected. I think it was from a previous year, and it makes it so local merchants had contributed $16,000, in $150 donations, but it was quite a long list of area merchants. And I thought, that's where they get a lot of their funding, going door to door up and down Regent and Monroe Street. But I was surprised that that's not in the actual proposal. No mention of soliciting local merchants. And so if they're not doing it this year, I want to know why. And if they are doing it this year, I want to know why it isn't in the budget presentation, because they are asking for a substantial amount of funds from Dane Arts. So that was my observation on this application.
Thanks, Carol. Other comments?
Yeah, I wanted to, like the others, talk about most of the money is coming from Willy Fun Events, but they did have a note in the budget narrative saying that they haven't heard anything from Willy Fun Events and are not sure that money is going to come through. So on the one hand, it does seem like Dane Arts' contribution could make a huge impact into this program if that Willy Fun Events doesn't end up giving their support. But it does add to some uncertainty to where that like $10,000 is going to come from. Also, again, this is they do get the special award for having opportunities for youth, which is exciting.
Any other comments?
Yeah, that was the one comment that I didn't make, is that they hadn't been in communication with Willy Fun Events, and that made me a little worried for them and hopeful. But I also noticed that it was January, that it should, so maybe they have, since we're having this discussion now.
I do note that in the budget, it seems that a lot of the artistic side of the event is going to be covered by the Dane County grant. And so I do note that it is going to be, that's kind of where the artistic side of it. And I think it has quite a bit of artistic merit in that, especially serving the specific community that they're going to be able to serve. I think that is a really big, exciting part for this particular grant, as opposed to some of the other ones that are kind of more typical summer festivals and typical locations and typical communities that they serve. So I wanted to highlight that.
Thank you. Okay, why don't you take time to score? Thanks, everyone. All right. This is ID number 25126, Oiñ Productions, Summer of Love and Community Connection 2024. Requesting $5,250, which is 26.32% of their overall budget. And we'll start with you, Rick.
Yeah, good morning again. Thanks. I looked at this one, just one note, and that could be, I guess, the thing, and maybe I didn't look at others. I didn't see a date of nonprofit organization on it, and that could just be what it is, but I'll just make that comment. I don't know if it's relevant or not. I did like this, having a video background, having worked in the industry for 35 years. One thing I did enjoy about this is that we don't see a lot of applications come through that video is a big predominant part of it. And when we think about video, we know it's where we meet people these days, especially youth. It lives in perpetuity. Its connection with public broadcast. I think that's what makes this strong. And then when you look at the content, it really does focus on the process. You get to see the product. All of us that are artists, we all know that it's product and process, right? And so much of it is seeing a live performance is wonderful, but being able to understand what goes into the mind of an artist is really formative for, youth on up. And I think that component of it is really nice. And then the styles of music range from bluegrass to Latin to gospel. Diverse audience. Again, I always am concerned when I see 60% white, but I also understand the county in which we work. I did like, Josh referenced earlier about, really honing in and looking at our local talent. This one, I think, was the opposite of what Josh expressed with the previous applicant. This one, they have dollars built into the budget to actually go out and scout for talented locations. I did like that. I think the ask of 12% of their budget is, I think it's 12%. Is that what you said, Mary? I could look too.
26%.
26, okay. Is there as well. I
Thanks,
think it's a fair ask. What else did I have? That's really all. I look forward to hearing other comments.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay. I kind of jumped the gun there.
No.
I thought it was a very strong proposal. I really liked their budget breakdown, and I liked they had a lot of fiscal support from other partners. I would have loved to see, I think it's kind of across the board with most of these applications, but just a little bit more information about evaluation, and how to track that and measure success. I have also personally experienced the work of many of these artists that are listed here. So I think I'm also trying to put my personal experience aside and speak to what I think this event could look like. I think specifically in the summer, Madison has a lot of engaging events like this, similar to this, but this one is unique in that it's the demographic serving a large Latin and Black community. I think that's really cool. I don't think I've seen a lot of that, but also I've only been in Madison since August. So I would support this. I'm trying to see if I had any other notes or flags per se, but I don't think I did. I think I was just excited about this event, and I liked the proposal. I thought it was strong.
Thank you. Other comments? Carol?
I thought this was quite a persuasive narrative, but the two additional things I wanted to point out is that the event is going to be in Leopold Park, which to my memory, not very many events happen in that at Leopold in the South Side neighborhood. So I thought that was a definite plus for this proposal. I like that in 2024, they've gone from a part day to a day-long event. So we're helping support them expanding. The event engages a number of teaching artists from very diverse backgrounds who will benefit from the exposure. And also, this is not an event where you can go and sit and on a picnic blanket and watch. I mean, this is an event where you're supposed to get up and move. And so that to me is just priceless.
A thought that I had when you said that was the only thing that I might raise questions about is being accessible to different bodied groups and populations in our community, especially since one of the first grants that we reviewed was for veterans or queer disabilities. So I would just want to know about what resources or activities or engagements they have for different communities, especially knowing that all of them are movement art focused.
I think that connects with some of the comments I wanted to bring up. Was I noticed that there were a little bit of logistical issues that weren't addressed. In particular, I've been part of festivals before. A big question about a day-long festival is how are you going to feed people to keep them there? And I was surprised that they didn't have some specific plan of inviting food trucks or bringing folks in or getting food donations or something else. That led me to realize that I wasn't exactly certain about the audience size that they were raising. And so I wanted to make certain that they would be able to handle the number of attendees that they were planning for. And some of those logistical things that they had been set out would have strengthened this application for me and made me a little bit more confident in their abilities to handle everyone that I think would be coming to an event of this size and caliber. And yeah, that's those are the comments I wanted to bring up.
Thanks, Joshua. Anyone else? Why don't you go ahead and score then? Good, thank you. You all are amazing, by the way. So this is ID number 25131, The Human Show. Sorry, Social Justice Center, The Human Show at Cafe CODA, requesting $2,950, which is 36.65% of the budget. And we'll start with you, Joshua.
Yeah. So this event, in contrast to some of the events that are more a single unique event, this one is held on the fourth Saturday of each month from 3 to 4:30 at Cafe CODA on Willie Street. The applicant is the Social Justice Center. They make a really impressive case for their ability to do a lot of work with very little funding, which I thought was really innovative about this particular application. Something else that I thought was interesting is that this funding is being requested to grow an already existing project. They've already been doing this. This has been ongoing, and they've had a good deal of success with it, even during the pandemic. And since the pandemic, they've been able to grow since then. And so this indicates good chances for success, given that funding is going to expand this project rather than be used to start a new project. Funding is specifically requested to create trailers to promote the Human Show and provide a modest stipend to guests, and then pay expenses related to engineering the show, which so far has been done through volunteer work at Cafe CODA. The audience is served both geographically centered around Willie Street, and then also has a more broader application since these are live stream shows. And so there is the ability to reach a wider community than just those that are geographically isolated in Willie Street. They seem to have good engagement for both their live and live stream shows, as evidenced by the original format produced during the pandemic and the ongoing programming. So I think in lieu of the fact that they do have a good track record of success, they're able to do with a lot with a little bit of funds. I was less concerned about the fact that it is a pretty substantial portion of what they're requesting. And I think that they, regardless of what we do, are going to have a good deal of success with this project. And so I think being able to help out with it is something worthwhile.
Thank you, Joshua. Over to you, Rick.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. I guess where I concur and agree is that I like private-public partnerships, and this is really nice because you have a nonprofit working with an organization that is established on Willie Street. I love the diversity factor. I really, give a lot of credit to address the American Indian community, even though it's a small 2%. I'd like to, talk to these folks about how they're targeting that, how they know that number. It is a good reflection of Willie Street. And when we think of Dane County, Willie Street has an identity that puts us on the map nationally. And I think sometimes I'm a big believer in signaling, the things we can be proud of here in Madison and Dane County on a national level to get some attention. So I do like that. A previous presenter or a previous person on the committee here commented on, I think it was Kayla, you had commented on, is it cost effective with the number of people they're reaching? That's where my concern lies. I think the goal to increase audience members 25 per show. I think the idea is good. I think there's, at that kind of an ask, it seems to be spending a lot of dollars per participant benefiting from the project. That's just a concern I have. And I wasn't really ecstatic about their timeline. I think, we don't compare these against other applicants, but I just think there was a little weakness in the way they were laying out their timeline, just from past experiences, managing projects. Otherwise, yeah, it's solid, and I do appreciate the application. Thanks.
Thanks, Rick. Other comments? Okay, go ahead and score, please. Rick, could you use a little bit more time? Okay.
I got it. Sorry. Thanks.
No problem. All right, 25145. This is the Madison Circus Space, Wonder Circus, Madison Circus Space, Spring 2024, requesting $5,250, which is 50% of their budget. And we'll start with Carol.
Mary, is 5250 the max you can ask?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, I have to say, I love that Madison has a circus, that the workshops and classes are open to everybody. I have always had a secret aim of being a circus acrobat. So I might be a little biased in this review. So this Madison Circus Space is putting on what they bill as an artistic visual experience. They will have 3 performance dates plus a school date in May and June. So part of the attraction for this event is that there will bus in 175 kids from area schools and the east side, and I'm sure every one of those kids is going to have a blast. On the other hand, I think this proposal is not a particularly strong proposal as an ask. It really did not answer the questions well as to impact and public value and outcomes. You sort of had to read between the lines. On the other hand, think I've got 3 hands here. The applicant stresses commitment to inclusiveness and Circus for all in its range of activities. I think, though, the most problematic aspect is that the Circus is asking for 50% of its total costs from Dane Arts, and there are no other fundraising efforts listed in the application. So that is very worrisome. The only income comes from ticket sales, but I don't think the ticket sales cover the budget. The financial statements from last year don't show any indication of fundraising or other grants. So, you know, my main question is, if Dane Arts doesn't fund this event, will the show go on?
Yeah, that was one of the things that I was going to raise is they're asking for the most amount you can ask for this particular grant. And I think that us being the only people displayed here, you know, that they're asking for, it does raise a little bit of concern. I also would like to know a little bit more about their tickets, and if they have like pricing tiers, or if they plan to make it accessible to, I guess I wanted to know a little bit more about the partnership where they're busing in 175 students from schools on the east side. Is that something that is in kind, or are they also, is that part of the ticket sales? Because then that could answer some of our questions about, okay, 175 tickets are already sold. Overall, artistically, I think it's a great offering for the community. I think it's really fun. I think it's really special. I think it'll be really impactful. I think the only concerns I have are around where they're getting the rest of the funding, ticket accessibility for students, what that partnership looks like, and, you know, how they define partnership with this particular program. Yeah, those were my primary thoughts.
Did it, Kayla, do you remember if it said that kids were going to go free or whether kids were going to buy tickets? I don't actually remember.
I didn't see that in the proposal. I don't remember seeing that. I also wondered if kids are coming with schools, if the school is going to absorb that cost rather than the students themselves. Those are questions that I had.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did list in there, and I think there's some confusion there too. It did say it was cost-free, but again, someone's paying that cost, whether it's Dane Arts or the school. I do like, and I appreciate what you said, Carol. Hugely supportive. The first event I attended when I moved back 6 years ago was their kickoff to their new complex, and that was my first arts experience in Dane County. So maybe I have a soft spot, but you know, having lived in many places, all of us, it is unique. We do have a accessible Madison Circus, so I do love that. Really respect Claire, always brings it back to youth. 35% of this is dedicated to youth. And one last comment I'll make is, you know, sometimes in the arts, we don't think about competition, but in athleticism, we do. And so I do like that component of this. I think they stress that there's a competitive nature to this event too, which I have no problem with. I think that's something we sometimes lack when we're in this world of giving trophies for participation, to be quite frank. I do like it stretches people to, you know, physically, spiritually, and mentally be the best they can be. So that's all.
Any other observations, comments?
I guess I'm just the third or fourth person to mention this, but I do have some pretty significant concerns. I worry that if the funding doesn't come through from Dane County, I worry if the show goes on. And I would really like to see these folks maybe take that note into account on future applications as well, that it would be worthwhile to secure other avenues of funding for what I assume is going to be an incredible artistic experience. I just would like to make certain that it, you know, happens.
Sure.
Thanks. My only comment, Kayla, is if your cat sits on your lap again, if you could lift her up so we could actually see your face.
Oh, I will. Listen, Pepper is the most vocal cutie.
Oh,
Everyone's favorite.
nice. Okay, please take time to score.
Thanks, everybody. So I did receive all the scores, Mary.
Oh, thank you. Great. Okay, the next one is 25151. This is Rachel Werner, The Little Book Project, Wisconsin, edition number 8, Identity. She's requesting $3,000, which is a little over 35% of her budget. We'll start with Claire.
Thanks, Mary. Yeah, so Rachel Werner is presenting edition 8 of the Little Book Project in partnership with Little Picassos, focusing on the theme of identity. The project funds she's asking for are going to go to paying contributing artists, postage materials and shipping costs, printmaking space fees, website hosting fees, and a bookkeeping service for expense tracking. She plans to have a Little Picasso's art exhibition the first weekend in June at My Arts, where students and their families will receive the prints. Following that event, the remaining copies will be made available at no cost to the general public, donors, and project funders. She's adding a copy to the local history archive in the Madison Public Library. The majority of this arts creation will be done at My Arts, and then the risograph print will happen at Communication Madison and/or another local printmaking space. I was really blown away by this application. I thought it was really well structured, and the Little Book Project seems like a really strong artistic endeavor. This one specifically focusing on youth who have experienced hardship and homelessness, I think is just a really awesome way to share some voices of people in our community who have experienced hardship. This will be the second of the Little Book Project zines to solely feature written and visual work by artists 18 and under. So I'm excited to see them focusing on youth. Yeah, I think the previous editions that they've had have some really diverse and interesting themes. I like the commitment to providing the books free of charge to lower any barriers to enjoying this art. I love the letters of support. They came from previous editions of the Little Book Project, and they were just overwhelmingly positive. It showcases the talent and professionalism shown by Ms. Werner in creating this project. Yeah, not a whole lot of feedback to give. I did have one note. I think the bookkeeping service valued at $300, I don't think that is a valid expense for this grant. I believe that falls under general operating expenses and not maybe not a project specific expense. I would have also liked to see the profit and loss statements from previous book editions to communicate the applicant's ability to successfully manage the budget. It doesn't seem like there have been any issues. It seems, again, like a really strong project and really strong application, but always love to see some numbers to back that up.
Thanks, Claire. Joshua.
Yeah, so the project is centered around producing a book and a zine of children's art that is going to be available to artist families and the broader public at no cost. I think that they do a good job of utilizing community resources and partners. The project manager seems particularly well equipped to lead the project and has a track record of success with 7 previous editions of the Little Book Wisconsin. That was really impressive to me, though. As stated before, I think some numbers to back that up would have made this already very strong application even stronger. I am impressed that this project does specifically support youth voices from a really diverse group of communities here in Dane County. I think they have a good evaluation strategy. That's, again, why I was kind of surprised that they had not provided some more of their metrics that were there. Though I do believe that the budget is appropriate and is dependent on diverse funders, though would have inspired some more confidence if they had been able to secure from even more funding agencies, which I think that they would be very competitive in doing. But yeah, that's my comments.
Thanks, Joshua. Any other comments?
I just want to really echo that I love the communities they're serving and the space that they're providing.
Thanks. Okay, please submit your scores.
Hey, Mary, so we have everybody's scores.
You. Thanks. All right, our final one, 25123. This is From the Front Row. From the Front Row, a live concert video series, episode 3 through 6, requesting 5,200, which is 12.87% of the budget. And we'll start with Rick.
Yeah, first of all, in full transparency, my apologies. I had reviewed this one earlier when we were talking about Summer of Love, but just to be candid, I did assess and vote for Summer of Love on its own merits, and I appreciate everybody stepping up and giving their comments to that application. Nonetheless, Front Row, to reiterate what I said earlier, this is a video-centric connection with public television. I think that's a really, defining part of this application and something very unique and different. Music is an important part of Madison. We're one of the first to participate in the worldwide day of music that goes on, and this is just a perfect extension of it. I think the ask financially is appropriate to the budget they presented to us. And I do like, again, the mix of music and varieties of music that represent different cultures that are reflected here in Dane County. And lastly, I did mention earlier about the scouting for local talent and locations. I think it's a great way to engage the community and showcase the diversity of our community. So thanks, and thanks, Mary. Apologize for that.
Thanks, Rick. Carol.
I think I did have a hard time with this application, trying to figure out what is it. It's in the application says a live concert series and video program that showcases local Madison and Midwestern musical artists in picturesque spaces. And then they're going to market these videos to public stations and on an online platform called Patreon. So to me, it's a little less than an artistic event and more to promote Wisconsin to national artists, which is a good thing. But one question that comes to mind is that two is whether this event is even eligible for funding, given that Lodi and Milwaukee, which are two of the three concert sites, aren't in Dane County. So I don't know about that. And while it's probably a good, I like the idea that they plan to market this to public television. There isn't any indication in the application that public television has agreed to this. So that would be an important thing for me to know, that the partnership has already been established. So I do think that the showcasing Wisconsin musicians along with their hometown and other in a cultural milieu seems like a culturally rich endeavor and might well make good television, but it's hard to see why a county grant should support this. I wanted to say, well, maybe they should apply for to the Wisconsin Department of Tourism for an event. It seems that the event would be more up tourism's alley. On the other hand, I know Buzz Kemper, and he does really top-notch work. So I'm wondering if there's more to this narrative than I understand or I get. So this was a real conflicting, I had a lot of conflicting thoughts about this proposal.
Any reactions or other observations from folks?
I likewise was pretty confused reading through this. I echo a lot of the things that Carol brought up. I think it is a an event and a project that is dedicated to the arts. My question is, how much is it related to Dane County arts specifically, given that only one of the events is taking place here? It also didn't seem that the event is going to maximally serve an underserved community within Dane County. It's a concert venue, and they're going to be recording a concert there, which I think is great for advertising, but isn't necessarily going to go out to an underserved community and potentially help benefit those. I wasn't certain if tickets are free or if they're recruiting folks from the community for those, or if it's going to be a paid event like any other concert. And so even the Dane County portion that was brought up left me with a lot of concerns about the feasibility and even accessibility of this project. So that was some of the comments I wanted to raise.
Yeah, I also was a little confused around whether or not this was eligible for this particular grant. But I do think I think it's completely an artistic event. Seeing that it's going to be televised, I guess that one of my questions was around the 100,000 target audience, and I thought, wow, that's pretty ambitious. Maybe you're factoring in viewers. So I would have maybe liked to see some of their past data from the 3 shows that have already taken place to see if that's in line with what they're saying here on this application. I really am just speaking and reiterating what was already said. Is this eligible, seeing that most of the programming isn't for Dane County?
Augusta, do you have any comments for us? We know that if proposals reach this stage, that you and Mark consider them eligible, but do you have any comments for us?
Yes, so it was reviewed and is eligible. Some, if the organization is based in Dane County and the artists are from Dane County, that's important too for them to go out to other, parts of the state. So, I mean, there has to be an allowance for some cross-pollination between, outside of Dane County coming in and Dane County artists going out as well, as long as like the majority of the activities are happening in Dane County. But yes, Mark is familiar with this application and did confirm that it is eligible.
Thank you.
So we'll add that. But it's a good question. And it brings up some really good questions that we'll continue to explore and clarify. So I appreciate the discussion around this.
Yeah, Carol.
So the concerts themselves, the 3 concerts, will have a very small audience. It's somewhere in the application. It's just a room audience. And so my question is, how do we figure in a screen audience when so many? It's possible that people viewing are not in Dane County. How do you even count who's? So it's hard to measure impact when it's streaming or broadcast, for that matter. And so that's a question I wonder about too. Who benefits from the project?
Any other thoughts? Thanks, everyone. Why don't you go ahead and score? Thanks. Claire, we'll take you back if you can hear us. Thank you for recusing yourself. I meant to remind you to do that, but you were one step ahead of me. I appreciate that. All right, we have wrapped up our list. I want to thank you for your deliberations, your comments, and your scores. You are a fantastic group of people. Thoughtful, attention to detail, recommendations for improvement, good questions, appreciation and celebration of these artists and their projects. I hope that you get to attend these projects and feel a sense of joy and pride for having supported them